Trump fires chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Air Force Gen CQ. Brown was fired as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Trump is nominating Air Force LT Gen. Four weeks ago, President Trump has dismissed Air Force Gen CQ Brown from his role as chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, marking a significant shift in military leadership focused on diversity and equity. Brown, who was the second black general to hold this position, had been in office for 16 months, primarily dealing with the ongoing conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. Trump expressed gratitude for Brown's service on social media. While announcing his nomination of Air Force LT Gen. Razin Caine as the new chairman, who has a background as an F-16 pilot and experience at the CIA. Despite support for Brown from Congress and a seemingly positive meeting with Trump, his future was questioned during a Senate hearing where Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth indicated that all senior officers would be reviewed based on merit and commitment to orders. Hegseth has been vocal about removing leaders who promote diversity initiatives, having previously suggested that Brown should be fired and questioned Sen. Tommy Tuber. Brown's path to leadership, the Defense Department policy on reproductive care. Brown's tenure as chairman was historic, as he was part of a leadership team that included 2 black leaders for the first time. And he had previously spoken out about racial issues within the military, reflecting on his experiences as a black officer. How federal employees are fighting back against Elon Musk. Elon Musk's team entered the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's building on February 7th. Some federal employees are protesting against Mr. Musk and his team. They have filed more than 24 lawsuits, staged protests outside the buildings, and joined federal worker unions. They sent emails to hundreds of colleagues blasting the new administration at the risk of their own livelihoods and careers. On February 7th, employees at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau became alarmed when they spotted members of Elon Musk's team entering their building, leading to a mix of curiosity and confrontation as they tried to verify the visitors' identities. Federal workers have been actively resisting Musk's team's efforts to dismantle programs and access sensitive information, taking actions such as filing lawsuits, staging protests, and forming encrypted communication groups to organize their pushback. The frustration among federal employees is palpable. It's expressed by union leaders, who highlight the dedication and patriotism of these workers in the face of significant changes and challenges posed by the new administration. Despite the pushback from federal employees, the Trump administration has continued to move forward with plans to cut jobs and limit the power of civil servants, using loopholes to bypass legal constraints and create a hostile work environment. Some employees have taken a stand against perceived illegal orders, such as one EEOC judge who urged her colleagues to resist compliance with a controversial executive order, only to face repercussions for her actions. The culture of dissent has spread across various government agencies, with employees using platforms like Slack and other internal channels to voice their concerns and share information about the administration's actions. Recent protests have seen a surge in union membership among federal workers, with many rallying together to express their discontent with Musk's involvement in the government and to advocate for their rights and job security. Frustrated Democrats urge leaders to show more fight against Trump. 1 month after President Trump was sworn in, Democratic voters and activists are angry with their leaders. They want their leaders to do more to curb Mr. Trump and offer a meaningful countermessage. A new CNN poll shows that 73% of Democrats disapprove of the way Democrats are doing their job. After President Trump's second term began, Democratic voters are increasingly frustrated with their leaders, demanding action against Trump and his policies. Anti-Trump protests are resurging across the nation, with many Democrats expressing dissatisfaction with their congressional representatives' efforts to challenge the administration. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro criticized congressional Democrats for not fulfilling their constitutional duty to act as a check on the executive branch, highlighting a growing sense of urgency among party activists. Polling shows a significant number of Democrats feel their party is not doing enough to oppose Trump, with many calling for stronger, more vocal leadership. Some Democrats are urging patience, hoping public sentiment will shift against Trump, while others are advocating for a more aggressive stance against his administration. Democratic lawmakers are divided on strategy, with some wanting to confront Trump openly and others cautioning against alienating voters who may be crucial in upcoming elections. Democratic governors have more flexibility to resist Trump, but they also face the challenge of balancing criticism with the need for federal support for their states. Trump claims birthright citizenship meant for children of slaves at Doral GOP retreat. President Donald Trump has claimed that birthright citizenship, which is enshrined in law under the 14th Amendment, was meant for the children of slaves. Trump was addressing House Republicans at the annual policy retreat at his National Doral Golf Resort near Miami. The president, who has signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship, argued that the constitutional right was never meant for the children of immigrants. "If you look, it was really meant for children of slaves," he said during the address on Monday night. "It was not meant for everyone to come into our country by airplane or charging across the borders from all over the world and think they're going to become citizens. It's not meant for that. And hopefully at some point the courts will understand that without having to go through a whole big deal." Trump's executive order is currently being challenged in court under the 14th Amendment. NIH stops new research as part of health communications pause. The National Institutes of Health has stopped all new research as part of the Trump administration's pause on health services external communications, The Washington Post reports. At this time, no procurements or contracting should be made for new studies, new equipment, or research services unrelated to the studies that were started prior to January 20, 2025, Acting NIH Director Matthew J. Mamoli wrote in a memo to staff, the Post reports. Mamoli, a noted critic of the COVID-19 vaccine mandate, was appointed to his position last week. Existing clinical studies and trials will be allowed to continue. Canada, Mexico, and China brace for Trump's tariffs. Businesses and officials in Canada, Mexico, and China were bracing for word on Saturday on promised tariffs. Mr. Trump is spending the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago residence in Florida and had no public events listed on his schedule on Saturday. The president is expected to eventually sign an executive order putting the tariffs into effect and could do so retroactively. Businesses and officials in Canada, Mexico, and China were on edge as they awaited news about new tariffs that President Trump was set to announce. Despite their efforts to dissuade him from moving forward, on Friday, White House officials revealed that Trump would impose a 25% tariff on goods from Canada and Mexico, and a 10% tariff on products from China, citing issues like drug and migrant influx as reasons. Trump confidently stated that these tariffs wouldn't lead to inflation and seemed determined to proceed with them, regardless of any last-minute negotiations with the affected countries. While Trump spent the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago estate, the uncertainty surrounding the specifics of the tariffs left many global businesses anxious and confused about the potential impact. The U.S. stock market reacted negatively to the news, closing lower on Friday as investors worried about the consequences of the impending tariffs. Industries such as retail and agriculture, which could suffer greatly from retaliatory measures, were left scrambling for clarity on the situation, but found themselves without clear information. Democrats were ready to criticize the tariffs as a sign of Trump's poor economic management, suggesting that his actions could lead to higher prices for consumers, with estimates indicating that families might face an additional $1,300 in annual costs due to the tariffs.